Let's shift gears now. As technology continues to advance, the use of artificial intelligence in various industries has become increasingly prevalent. However, when it comes to creating business contracts and documents, it's crucial to exercise caution and rely on human expertise. Now, Yvonne Wakefield joins us. She's the CEO and founder of Caveat Legal and joins us with some insight into the potential pitfalls of using AI in this area. And she joins us virtually from Cape Town. Yvonne, thank you so much for your time. I mean, every day you seem to be reading about this amazing thing that AI is doing. Well, at the same time, you read another story saying, oh, but be careful that you use AI in this space or to do this. And you would think when it comes to legalese and something as important as contracts, AI is something that you'll use very, very carefully. Have you found as being the major pitfalls when attempting to use AI in this domain?
Thank you, Marcel. Look, before we speak about the pitfalls, I think we should speak about the good that AI is doing in this field. AI is helping to make the law more accessible. It's bringing the cost of legal services down. So it's definitely something that we should not ignore, and it's really helping to really make the law more accessible to the market. But yes, there are pitfalls. There are quite a few pitfalls. One of them is jurisdiction. So you have these tools that are wonderful tools that are built in the US and fed a lot of data and information to be able to work. But sometimes they can be applying law that's actually built for a law that's from another jurisdiction, and using a tool like that from South Africa, you might get an outcome that you're not exactly looking for. You also have problems with the kind of information that you feed these tools really impacts the outcome. So if you were sitting across the table from a lawyer, you would get a number of questions aimed at you around, the circumstances and the conflict and, the context and all of those, all the different aspects to the facts. Whereas in these AI tools, you can just put information in and get a response. And unfortunately, we're not quite used to using these tools. So we're not quite up to speed with exactly how we should use them best. So we need to learn a little bit more about how we can best use these tools. And then, of course, there's the other downside that, if you use one of these tools and something goes wrong or you get advice that is not quite right, you have no recourse. So that's a big pitfall.
Who are you finding, or maybe let me go back to your first answer about what the positives are. You say that AI has made the legal world and legal services more accessible and cost-effective, which are two of the major things that's always been hanging over the legal fraternity, hasn't it? How is AI making it more cost-effective for many and, more importantly, more accessible?
Thanks, Marcel. It's such an important question. Sometimes people just need an answer on a very simple question, or people are dealing with a very simple issue that just need a little bit of direction. And because there is nothing that is freely or cheaply available, people kind of muddle along and get to a point where they kind of dig themselves into a bit of a hole. Whereas if they just had information up front early on, they could navigate much, much better. And I think that AI is really, really helping in that, on that front. It means that you can really use the tool to educate yourself, to figure out exactly what it is that you're facing, what your rights are, what your obligations are. And I think it really empowers the layperson to be able to make decisions from a more informed perspective.
I suppose the other, and you brought this up as well in your statement and in what you said to me, that the nuance that comes along with the human interaction with the subject matter, like the legal world or with the law or justice, nuance is what could be lost when it comes to AI. How important is that human element, that human nuance, the emotional connection when dealing with a sensitive subject, perhaps, that's been brought into the legal field?
It's very important. I think one thing that we don't realize when we're dealing with lawyers is the value of questions and the right questions being asked to get to the nub of a matter. So let's use an example. So let's say you're using ChatGPT and you put into ChatGPT, I killed my boyfriend, am I going to go to jail? You know, of course,
Let's
ChatGPT
hope you
would
wipe
probably
out your
say,
history after
yes,
that.
yes, you're going to go to jail, right?
Yeah.
But if you saw a lawyer, a criminal specialist, that person would probably ask you some questions. And if it transpired that you killed your boyfriend while he was, you know, advancing on you and your children with a knife, then of course you have a legal defense, which is self-defense, and that changes everything. And you know, so sometimes we kind of present an issue without all of the facts, and so we get a slightly skewed answer that doesn't cater for the nuances and the facts of the particular case.
Do you think your fraternity in the legal world, your colleagues, the big legal companies and law firms have been able to keep up with the tsunami of changes and advances that AI has brought in, even just over the last 6 months?
Look, I mean, the colleagues are one thing. I mean, the legislation is another thing. I mean, our legislation is going to need to
You're
catch up.
absolutely right. Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of catching up to be done, but I think it's all positive. You know, we just have to be clever about how we use these tools, and we need to use them in conjunction with the other things that have been around and that are sort of tried and tested methodologies that have served us over time. And it's just about picking what's going to work best for us in each situation.
And I suppose that's where an organization like yourself comes in. If people had questions in that field, would it be caveat legal that they could approach if they want to make sure that they're on the right side of legalese when it comes to AI?
Yes, I mean, you know, we're a commercial consultancy, so we only really deal with companies, and you know, ultimately, when companies are briefing legal providers, they you know, usually a more sophisticated buyer of legal services. So we haven't really felt ourselves to be in competition with these tools. But certainly, you know, it's about, you know, approaching whichever legal issue is in front of you, educating yourself with Google and these AI tools, and then briefing, you know, a law firm or a legal service provider that can help you to take the matter further, whether it's a litigation matter, whether it's a commercial matter, and using the tools that you have at your disposal. I mean, I think it's fantastic that we're living in a world where we don't really need to pay big bucks to get access to information, access to, you know, what the law says right now. So I think it really is a positive thing, but we just need to be sensible about how we approach these things. And of course, also realizing that this technology is going to get better and better, you know, every year. And, you know, it's going to definitely outstrip what lawyers can do. You know, lawyers make mistakes, particularly lawyers that are working across a number of legal fields. You know, we only really work with highly specialized lawyers and very sort of super specialized fields of law. But most people are using lawyers who are covering a number of different legal fields. It's impossible to really get to grips with all of the law and the legislation and the case law that pertains to each of those fields of law. So that the generalist lawyers are under pressure. They're needing to keep up to date with a number of different fields of law, and that's actually impossible in this day and age. So I think this technology is really going to assist them to become much safer options for the public to use.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much. Very insightful conversation. Yvonne Wakefield, the CEO and founder of Caveat Legal, joining us virtually from there in Cape Town.